there have been different voices, as you heard in our interview there, as far as the developments in Venezuela are concerned. Let's now speak to Prof Ntsikelelo Breakfast, a political analyst. Very good evening to you, Prof, and thank you so much for your time and compliments of the season. So, when we are looking at the developments in Venezuela currently, you've got the FF Plus saying in a statement that the ANC cannot speak on behalf of South Africa regarding the events in Venezuela. Then you've got the statement of the DA condemning not only DIRCO but also the ANC, saying that this is hypocrisy. We're back here again, different voices on a matter of international importance.
Thank you very much for having me, Bongiwe. Compliments of the season, and may everything go well with you this year. Anyway, be that as it may, I think the problem that the GNU has is that it doesn't have a foreign policy. What do I mean by that? The current foreign policy, Bongiwe, is not a byproduct of the GNU. The current foreign policy is not different from the one that we have had under one-party dominance of the ANC. The current foreign policy is a byproduct of the 1991 conference of the ANC, which was held in KZN, and that foreign policy has evolved into a white paper of policy and has become the foreign policy of government. Now, what do you expect then all the coalition partners to do, Bongiwe? Do you expect all of them to speak the same language if they were not involved in the foreign policy making process? So I think government needs to bridge this gap and needs to, because the ANC has been framing a discourse, and this is backfiring with them, that foreign policy is a no-go area, which is problematic in my view, because one-party dominance is a thing of the past. What we have at the moment is a power-sharing arrangement. And if you want the GNU to function as a unified force on all matters, you also need to discuss the issue of the foreign policy. But Bongiwe, I don't want to be misunderstood, because this is a sensitive matter. I don't want the public to misunderstand me as if now I am arguing in favor of the violation of public international law. I will never support imperialism and so on. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that in order for the GNU to function as a unified force, all the coalition partners, they need to be involved in the foreign policy making process and have one coherent policy. That's all that I'm saying.
And when it comes to coherent policy, for example, because when one borrows from the statement of intent by all these parties in 11.9, it says, foreign policy based on human rights, constitutionalism, the national interest, solidarity, peaceful resolution of conflicts to achieve the Africa Agenda 2063, South-South, North-South, and African cooperation, multilateralism, and a just, peaceful, and equitable world. One would say, as much as they would have agreed to this, they seem to be seeing the end result of how this plays out differently.
Yes. Again, the other complexity, Bongiwe, is that it's one thing what the statement of intent says. It's another thing how the coalition partners interpret that, or the ANC or the DA. So I just think that this gap, it needs to be closed, because it is also embarrassing for coalition partners to be crossing swords in public about these issues of human rights abuse, multilateralism, public international law, because it dents the image of the country, you know, as if the country now doesn't have a coherent standpoint, especially on a matter which is very serious like this one.
So how then do they begin to bridge this divide? Because you're saying that they need to come up with a document that is coherent. They need to come up with a document that speaks to each and every single concern that they possibly would have. But one would say they have different ideologies, which we all know and have seen in their manifestos. How do they unite?
The beauty about coalition arrangements is that the coalition partners have to compromise, right? because a coalition is about power sharing. There's no one-party dominance. One-party dominance is a thing of the past. So the way out of this, I think, is to convene a summit and frame a discourse on this matter in terms of what is going to be the new foreign policy outlook of the country and the ethos of that foreign policy. Definitely, it will have to be issues of human rights, democracy, public international law, multilateralism, and so on. But without, yeah.
Pardon me for coming in there, but is there that kind of appetite? And I ask this because we've seen what has been happening in the public domain, and even with the ANC, for example, when you speak to some of them, they will tell you that they got majority of the votes, and therefore you kind of then get this tug of war as far as who's leading in the GNU, who's not. But these dynamics within a coalition appear to continue to be a sticking point over time.
That's the challenge, without taking a swipe at the ANC. The ANC got 40%. Otherwise, the ANC would have formed a government by itself without joining forces with other political parties or with the maybe it should have done that or have a minority government then. I think that would have been better than this current arrangement, where they assemble different political parties and then say that they are leading the arrangement, and what they say goes. It doesn't work like that, Bongi. You can't then expect those political parties to be perpetually silent in that marriage. So if things continue like this, you are going to have this tit for tat, coalition partners crossing swords in public, and it doesn't sit well with the international community and with South Africa as well.
All right, let's see then what happens. But thank you so much for talking to us. Appreciate your time. Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, a political analyst, they're speaking to us about the different voices that we're hearing as far as this issue of Venezuela is concerned.